Hello, Nivedita. Hello.
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. Yesterday, actually, you were absent. So,
Sir, network issues are there.
okay, okay. So, today also, there was only one Barsa was there. Today, Barsa has not yet joined. Anyway, you remain in the line. We will discuss certain units so that I can complete tomorrow all these units. I know that you all know everything, but still, then it's a kind of revision, revisiting. Okay. As you have completed MA, so during your MA study, you have today Elena has joined Bhagyavati, another student. She has perhaps today joined. So let us very quickly go to our discussion. Yesterday we had a discussion about 9. Today we'll go to 10. Unit 10. Unit 10 is WTO and higher education. So let us, Barsha, welcome again. Barsha was only yesterday's participant. Thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
Barsha. Today, Nivedita and Elena, they have joined. And so, as you know, that the full form of WTO, Barsha, what is the full form of WTO? Nivedita?
Sir, one of the full form is World Trade
World Trade
Organization.
Organization. Yes, World Trade Organization and higher education. In fact, after the concept of globalization, you know, Indian market is open to the globe, to all other countries, and particularly in terms of economic development, trade, and commerce. So now, if we can discuss that various sectors, the general agreement on trade in services, GATS by GATS, is under consideration of the World Trade Organization, and it would take center stage for a discussion during next round of meetings of nations like India, which are the signatories of World Trade Organization. So, what is the relation between World Trade Organization and uh, higher education? After going through this unity, the students can know the major provisions made by WTO under education. Describe the major sectors as listed under GATC, GATS, and their implications. Further, to examine the main policy issues concerns, policy issues and concerns emerging out of viewing education as a tradable commodity. And again, to discuss the implications of the above on teachers and teaching, on teachers and teaching. Discuss the implication of above on teachers and teaching. Analyze the issues and emerge at micro level in educational processes as a result of GATS regime. So, surprisingly, we all are talking about what is the relationship between education and World Trade Organization. Because education now treated as a tradable commodity. You know the status of private universities sometimes is better than the state or central universities in their facilities, in their ambience. Why? Because they have enough money funded by these learners. So government also wanted to open certain self-financing courses. As you know, that all the policies, particularly UGC, they have suggested for collection of revenues to expand education. The model is that self-financing mode. Particularly apart from argument that education is not a commodity to be traded, but a service whose benefit accrue both for national and global development. We always say education is a process. It is not a commodity. It's a kind of service. So teaching is definitely the most important activity of academic institutions. Academic institution is popular because of the work of teaching. Through teaching, we reach to students the corpus of knowledge available to us. The teacher, through his or her judgment, purges out of irrelevant information or the content the clientele is not prepared to receive. So the personal and partly personal interaction and understanding of the clientele, the teacher modifies the content. So particularly, teacher handle the issue context in the context that the education is a process, and where the learners come to modify the behavior, acquire knowledge, develop personality, career, character, able to promote skills, develop skills, collaboration, cooperation, and education includes both the teaching and research. Teaching is not only education, but research is also a part of education. Education includes both teaching and research. Teachers disseminate in the classrooms the corpus of knowledge available to them in a particular discipline. What is the genesis of World Trade Organization? World Trade Organization came into existence in January 1995 as a result of a Uruguay round of negotiations replacing GATT, that is General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, created in 1947. So, World Trade Organization was established in 1995. It replaced General Agreement on Tariff and Trade in 1947. With the coming into existence, WTO services were brought under the purview of WTO, and a new agreement was known as the General Agreement on Trade and Services. The World Trade Organization is a body governed by member nations. Most of the nations have already become members or are in the process of becoming members. So how this World Trade Organization functions? As you know, the headquarters of World Trade Organization is in Geneva, and the General Council takes day-to-day decisions in Geneva. As you know, unlike the decisions of the international bodies like United Nations, International Labour Organization, ILO, the decisions of the World Trade Organization are enforceable through sanctions, which is the effect means of the WTO, has more powers than any other international body. In effect, WTO sanctions can overrule decisions of national governments. It has been expressed that the WTO is a body of policing free trade in the interest of multinational corporations above all others' interest. So, World Trade Organization is a guiding body, is a controlling body, quality controlling body, which regulates the activities of multinational trades, commerce, and there are the multilateral agreement, and World Trade Organization can suggest measures and recommend policies which is over and above of a nation. So all the nations, member nations are being governed by World Trade Organization. GATS works by getting member countries to sign up to particular areas or types of services in which they agree to treat foreign investors. As we have discussed, that WTO arguments and GATS rules are legally binding on governments. So unless you accept or admit WTO agreements, that it cannot sanction any fund, World Trade Organization will not allow your commodity to be exported to any other country, and the rate of tariff will not, as you know, in some incidents you can discuss that there are the trade relationship of India and Russia. Russia has agreement with India for trade relation. So now this trade relation has led to supply of the arms and ammunitions. If we will talk about, if some other countries wants to take armaments from Russia, at first they should come into agreement with Russia. So, like our daily transactions with, for example, a customer and a retailer relationship. If we will talk about the customer retailer relationship, sometimes we believe the quality, services, and the price, everything is uh, to say favorable to a customer, because there is a uh, understanding between them, because every month you are going, you are purchasing or like that. So this also happens in the trade and commerce at the international level. So the that WTO, that will certify the quality of the commodity and the relationship, whether you are an authentic buyer or seller or not. That is the certification that will be given by WTO. However, GATS defines government service as those exercised in the control of a governmental authority, and sets agreement authority as one that is supplied neither in a commercial basis nor in competition with other suppliers. So now, because education system in most of the countries also has commercial territory, education providers, private universities, these became part of a GATS. When I was in Ravensa, there are many students from Afghanistan. They were uh, they were studying in Ravensa University. At that time, Devdas Chotrai was VC, IS Devdas Chotrai, and there was an agreement with Afghanistan that their scholars, their students will come and study in Ravensa. So it is a kind of promoting your university institution uh, beyond your territory. So that the agreement is basically how much fee you will charge or like that, and the agreement is made between the two friend nations, not those who are not friends. There will no agreement. Here also we come across that although higher education has been internationalized for a very long time, now globalization and extension of GATS to education sector have considerably modified the environment in which higher education establishment must function. So you can say the higher education, there are nations or the universities, they are privately operating. They have their international campus, and there is investment, international investment. So this investment is possible because of globalization. We have already discussed about globalization. So what is GATS in education services. As we know that GATS rules will apply to services like education in the following ways. Under GATS rule, a government cannot give better treatment to local companies than to foreign companies. A government cannot give better treatment to local companies than to a foreign companies. This is known as national treatment. So once you enter into agreement, you cannot treat differently. You have to treat equally. So now the concept is that local companies, what is local companies and why it is called as a national treatment? Once a service provided from a member country enters to another country under specific commitment, it cannot be discriminated from other service providers in the country. So this is a very important point. How? Once under agreement, some country has accepted your terms and condition, or you have accepted your terms and condition, others terms and condition, and they have entered to an agreement. Now the concept is that you cannot treat discriminatorily. You must treat equally. That is the concept. Governments cannot limit the access of companies by limiting their numbers of requiring them to have local content or to train the local people. Government funding to the public services like health and education could be challenged by foreign corporations arguing for access of funding through competitive bid tendering. So now, if foreign companies will come, like your road construction, your building construction, you know some foreign companies also operating. Your airport management, some foreign companies are operating. So how these foreign companies are coming to? They are coming under, to say, competitive bidding. What is competitive bidding? For example, if you are you want to sell some, for example, you have a laptop, you want to sell it. You will sell to your friend or like your neighbors, those who know you. And if you are going to sell to them, you may not get the price, satisfactory range of a price. But you will make it a open, like OLX and other software companies are operating, where if you just drop a message that many, those who are not in your access, those who do not know you, they can also come forward for bidding. Like this, foreign companies and domestic operators, both of them must be given equal footing, must be given equal opportunity for a competitive bidding. What is this competitive bidding? Once there will be competitive bidding or tendering, the quality will be improved. price will be competitive. So this is a very general, to say common man's explanation, that if there will be more and more shops open, commodities counters open, definitely customers will get satisfactory services, comparative price also, and quality product also, because there is always a competition among them. So in India or in other countries, they offer this operation of a private uh, university. You would be surprised to know the universities like Harvard is not government funded. So these universities are funded by themselves, and they are become the best university. So why? Because the foreign students, students from third developing countries, third world countries, they are coming. Teachers from different sectors, they are coming. So if GHS, what would be the competition among the nations? Education is considered as the process through which each nation maintains and transmits from generation to generation its culture and values. So now the question comes again, what is the role and function of education and educational institutions? Educational institutions play a major role in transmitting its own culture. So here, the entry of a foreign universities may not approve, may not accept your culture as important as you think. So now, if we will talk about the national days, observation days, your festivals, occasions, they are not going to honor it as expected and as it is done in your own universities. So there are many things. Another context is that most nations have apprehension about the commitment of foreign institutions in incorporating and inculcating values relevant to the learners, country and culture. Not only that, there are other apprehensions as well. So obviously, there is a apprehension that if a foreign universities will operate in a nation, that will cause hamper to national, to say, culture, its cohesion, and after all, its language, its treasure, to say. So negotiations are now underway, which aim at extending, that is called free trade rules. Under this rule, uh, the negotiators from world, so richest countries, are pushing for this liberalization process to be speeded up. For the gas, negotiations are extremely complex and technical. This puts many developing countries at the serious negotiating disadvantage, as they lack the necessary capacity and uh, technical expertise. So now it is said the poor lose out. How the poor will suffer, as we have discussed, that it is the state policy. It is the state policy that gives priority to the poor and rich. You say equal opportunity for education to SC, ST, weaker sections, CWSN, women. So liberalization agenda threatens the basic service delivery. The multinationals are seeking to make a profit out of water, health, and education. Those without purchasing power likely to lose it. Recent water privatization in a foreign country, that is Puerto Rico, has meant that the poor communities have gone without water while US military bases and tourist resorts enjoy an unlimited water supply. A system governed by people's ability to pay will not bring desperately needed services to the world's poorest people, which includes education as well. This is a very important point. As you know, if there is entry of a foreign universities and these universities will operate only in terms of creating profit and offering education in lieu of funds. What would happen? You can understand that what is the cost of a bottle of water. In public place, in public place, then the water supply by government, side by side, there is sale counter of water bottles. People purchase water. Exactly that happened. As you know, that the great people, they have visualized that if Third World War at all happens, it will happen for water, potable water, that is drinking water. Rich people's water, there is difference between the rich people's water and poor people's water. Poor people can drink everywhere, any tube borewell supply, but rich people will purchase water. The context is that recent water privatization is one example. So therefore, it is presumed that what would happen to a poor man's son or daughter if education will be privatized. There will be tariff on education. So context is that, moreover, it is said that states will ensure that once the governments have opened up particular service sectors to WTO rules, there is no going back. Once you have come to an agreement, there is no question of going back. So this is a very burning topic, that how it affects the very core elements, education in a welfare state, health services in welfare state is something different. So this is all about that World Trade Organization and education. Now we'll go to discuss emergence of ODL at a tertiary level. Now Elena will discuss what is ODL. Hello, perhaps I'm not reaching
Sir,
Elena.
sir,
Hello,
ODL means open and distance learning.
good. ODL means open and distance learning, which is different from the formal education. Education is the emergence of alternative channels of learning which can address diversified client needs, facilitate continuing professional development, and deploy information and communications technology for meeting multi-channel learning styles and reduce the cost of education and training while maintaining its quality. Global developments in general and developments within higher education in particular have necessitated the emergence of open and distance learning at a tertiary level. What is tertiary level? Primary, secondary, and tertiary. We said three levels are there, which has further evolved into forms of learning, interactive, multimedia, web-based learning. This provides us like changes while critically examining the issues and the challenges impacting higher education, including open and distance learning. What would be the learning outcome of this unit? Identify and reflect on some of the global changes and their impact on higher education generally. Analyze the issues and the challenges facing higher education in India today. Discuss the developments in distance education in India and its present status. Trace, trace and analyze the challenges faced by distance education and discuss its potential as a system of the future. What are the characteristics of globalization and how globalization has opened new changes and it has opened new areas? Changes are taking place globally in all spheres of life. These changes are not only inextricably related to each other, but are also influencing each other for our purpose. We have selected in this section for discussion. এই ସେକ୍ସନରେ ସେଗୁଡା ସବୁ ଡିସ୍କସନ କରାଯିବ କ'ଣ ନା କନଷ୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ ଚେଞ୍ଜେସ୍ ଇନ୍ ଇକୋନୋମି. Why there is global changes? Constant changes in economy. How economy is being changed? You see that from agriculture to industry, industry to trade and commerce, trade and commerce to service, ICT. So technological and political spheres are taking place which have affected the national policies, regional cooperation, and international diplomacy. Economic changes have been the most powerful of all, especially globalization. What are the characteristics of globalization? We say that is changes in economy, social attributes, technology, political determinants, politics. These are the factors which affect changes. In economic terms, a transition from Buddhist and post-Buddhist forms of workplace, the rise in internationalized advertising and consumption patterns, reduction in barriers to the free flow of goods, workers and investments across national borders. Correspondingly, new pressures on the roles of worker and consumer in society. So you see, the context is that how we are progressing to a consumer society. All are consumers. Somebody is a consumer of to say food products, education product, lifestyle products, your steel or everything. It is consumerism has developed. In this context, there is a growing competition among the industries. Industries has two parts. One is production, another is supply. Supply to whom? Supply who demands your product. For example, you produce headphone. You have a company, you produce headphone. And while you are going to a market to sell, you will go to stockist, wholesale, then you will go to retail markets. Retail markets says, stockist says that your product has no market value. So I will not keep it because I have a space crunch. I cannot pay your credits, pay back your credits because you don't have a brand value in the market. So you see how brand value works. When we say that you are from RI Bhopal, there is a brand value. If we will say someone is from JNU, there is a brand value. Exactly that happens in all the products. For example, you have appeared one interview and the experts they ask your educational qualifications and where you are from. You are from JNU, Jawaharlal Nehru University. Definitely you create an impression. Impression of a positivity. Why? Because you have a brand value. Now what is happening that you have to create your brand value. How can you create brand value? I will cite an example. You have to create an artificial market for your product. I will not name, but some universities you know that they create artificial market for their students, technical universities. They ask companies to recruit their scholars, graduates, pay them for 6 months. Thereafter make a test and just fire them. So you are creating a market value that everybody who is enrolling in your private university is getting a job. That is your market. You created it. Another example I can cite. For example, you have a specific brand of a headphone. Headphone nowadays we use frequently. Now I am in a headphone while I am discussing with you. So if that particular brand is not available in the market, nobody is asking for that, then how can you create market? So if your own people are going to shops and asking that you give me that brand of a headphone, then definitely the shopkeeper will, the retailer will go and search. And after that, you can give them that product and they will keep it and they will sell it. You employed 100 people to go visit to one town to another town and asking for the same brand of, and you are not purchasing other brand. You are only searching the particular brand which is not available. You know, your people know. That means you created an artificial market. A market in an artificial way, that is a real market in an artificial way. That happens. If you will open one bar franchise that is branded in a particular university, so that will create a market in your local area. So economic terms is there. Another is that the free flow of goods and workers and the investment across national borders and correspondingly news pressures on the roles of a worker and a consumer in a society. Political terms, a certain loss of nation state sovereignty or at least the erosion of national autonomy and correspondingly a weakening of national nations. Political terms, a certain loss of a nation's state sovereignty or at least the erosion of a national autonomy, correspondingly a weakening of a nation of the citizen as unified and a unifying concept. Now many people talk about how this globalization has brought many changes in your economy. For example, if foreign companies will come, they will sell one product, qualitative product in a less price. So obviously you will not purchase any domestic product which costs high and quality wise also you understand that is less. So now the concept of a challenge to the sovereignty arises. If all the companies operators are of foreign, then what would be happening to your own commodities, your own people? So now you see, country is making an agreement that there will be an industry for which will provide you land. That is in a regional price. Regional price. And that is a political decision. And if you can remember POSCO, POSCO, which was given land, it might be the biggest company of Asia. And the land could not be acquired by the government to hand over it to POSCO. What happened in Vedanta? Vedanta took some 1,000 years in acres in Puri to establish the uh, institution. But what benefit will a common boy or common man will get if Vedanta will establish its world-class university? But how the students of Puri slum are going to be benefited? That was the logic for which people went against the uh, foreign investment. Vedanta is not foreign investment, but still then they were against these sorts of agreement. We say it is a political concept. In terms of cultural, the tensions between the ways which globalization brings forth more standardization and cultural homogeneity will also bringing more fragmentation at the local level. That is the concept. Hello. ଗୋଟେ urgent call ଆସିଗଲା ତ okay. So now economic changes in the form of liberalization, marketization, global economy reforms, and like that have created economic imbalances in the developing economies of many nations. The trend has facilitated privatization, internationalization, and increasing role of multinational agencies in various sectors of society and economy, including education. The private sector is looking for opportunities in various aspects of economy, and the equation between demand and supply is changing with the coming up of newer consumers with the newer demands for consumption, goods and services. With the reduction of public investment and increasing privatization of production and the distribution of goods and services, new equations are being established for national and regional economic centers and cost centers. The trend has adversely affected the disadvantaged communities in the society. We talk about disadvantaged communities of our society. We talk about SC, ST, those who are disadvantaged groups. For your example, for your information, companies never give any reservation to, or companies never give any reservation on the basis of a caste. The trend has adversely affected the disadvantaged communities of a society. There have been tremendous technological developments in the sectors of communication and information technology. There has been tremendous developments in the sectors of communication and information technology. The advent of internet has deeply affected the traditional socio-economic culture and ways of thinking and living. Technology has permeated every sphere of life, including education and training. Technology is being visualized as increasing access to education and refer the quality of instructional and support provisions. In many spheres of life, including lifelong education, convergence of means and media is leading either to unthinkable equations, strategies, and processes. Therefore, novel provisions of planning, designing, and delivery of instruction are undertaken. There have been significant political developments in the past few decades. The notables of them are the disintegration of the erstwhile Soviet Union into few independent nations, the end of apartheid and beginning of democracy in South Africa, reorganization for democracy in Afghanistan, although Afghanistan democracy has been taken in a Taliban way, and talk about there is a tension in Iraq also. These political changes have necessitated the rebuilding of the society, bringing in demands for equality, equity, and access to education. Newly emerging nations and democratization have placed a premium on human resources, development, and education for all. You may think of many other global changes that are affecting international, regional, national, and local institutions and lifestyles. So, in this context, we can say global changes affecting higher education. How? Higher education has been under pressure from both funding agencies and various other stakeholders to be efficient and responsible, flexible and vibrant. Globalization has been very imposing on higher education. Technology and electrification of higher education, technolo- uh, technology, use of technology and electric devices in higher education has put on undue pressure on institutions to create provisions for and based curricular designs on a new technologies. So you can understand how during Corona period there was a rapid increase in the use of mobile phones, smartphones. All the classes were conducted in Google platform. So students from class 1 or nursery to university, they use this mobile phone to an interaction. The television, I was invited as a guest to put forth my view from Rajdhani College as an educationist. I attended the educational conclave of a television. Many people, many scholars, eminent people, they were also there. There was a discussion, and discussion concluded that these mobile sets are creating more adverts. It is not positive impact, it's a negative impact. Because for few hours they are in the class, they are in online class. But after that, they are using these mobile smartphones as per their free will. And these mobile sets are being provided by the parents. These parents are, to say, not in a position to afford such a costly tool. But they were asked to give such thing because it was a widespread phenomenon. All the parents, they are giving. So your child cannot go without smartphone. That was the context. So technology has its own merits and adversity. As we know that as a university student, you can rationally use this gadget, the sophisticated scientific gadget, which is connecting you with the world. But for an adolescent, this gadget is of a different meaning. It's a luxury item. So support of a technology can improve your education every time is not a there is no guarantee. There is no guarantee. It cannot be give you the guarantee that the support of education and technology or the technology will improve your educational standard. There is the unexpected pressure on post-secondary institutions to accommodate an ever-increasing student population. Community education is emerging as an important dimension for lifelong education and alternative educational provisions beyond the extension program. The increasing job mobility, specialization, and simultaneously necessary multi-skilling as also due to so ODL has opened new ways to accommodate increasing number of scholars and students expecting education, but they are away from the opportunity because there is no scope in formal way or formal education. So now the structure of higher education in India is to say very vast, as we have already discussed in many occasions. And in the context of ODL, open and distance learning, the magnitude of the system and its operation, higher education in India is embedded with embroiled with the host issues and emerging challenges. What are the challenges? What are the challenges of development of open and distance learning in the country? The challenges, one is that is the pressure. Institutions of higher learning is under tremendous pressure. So a large number of private institutions have come up. An increasing number of such institutions are being accorded the status of deemed to be universities by University Grant Commission. Apart from private institutions, the central government is proposing to expand the provisions of distance learning so as to accommodate at least half of the future demand for higher learning to this mode. So when there is a huge population, and particularly at the age of college going age group, there is the ever increasing demand of learning, education. You cannot debar them. The nation cannot keep itself away from this welfare scheme of education. Decreasing resources of allocation for higher education, universities are required. Educational resources from other increasing student fees, tapping other resources like expansion for university industries in linkages and offering distance learning programs. Quality and accreditation are other issues as well as challenges. Quality assurance requires human infrastructure and pedagogic, financial and other resources to be utilized not only to the optimum level but also to confirm, to agree upon the standards so that the inputs, processes and outputs are under constant scrutiny. The National Assessment and Accreditation Council, NAC, National Assessment and Accreditation Council, NAAC, of the UGC and the National Board of Accreditation of AICT are responsible for institutional and program evaluation and providing accredited status to institutions of higher learning. Universities are also required to conform to the standards set by various other councils like Medical Council of India, Indian Nursing Council, National Council for Teacher Education, and also the Distance Education Council of Indira Gandhi National Open University. So many concepts and things are coming up. As you know, that materials, as globalization concept, development of ICT, various professions and professional development of college and university teachers are areas of significant concern to educational planners and administrators. Many of the universities do not have a programs tailored made for continuing professional development. Distance education in the form of a correspondence education was recommended as a reformative measure by the three delegations sent by Government of India during 67 and 71 to the erstwhile Russia. USSR, three delegations went to Russia to study their education system. And after studying, they came back. There was recommendations of delegation were extremely useful to those involved in the establishing the contemporary complementary mode of correspondence and distance education courses. However, the initiation of the correspondence courses at the University of Delhi in 1962. The initiation of correspondence courses at the Delhi University was in 1962. 1,112 students were admitted into undergraduate studies. Correspondence education was intended to provide further opportunity to those who had either missed formal education or could not afford it or even could not have required the grades to get admitted to. There are two things. One is either you cannot afford. So, Nivedita, you say, what are the benefits of ODL? Hello?
Yes, sir. First of all, flexibility in timing and studying.
Okay,
Second is affordability. Um,
good.
third is sir. Sir, distance means a student of a remote area can able to access courses available in best universities or
Very good. Very good.
institutions.
So, a student from a distant place can pursue a course offered best university in low cost. And there is no entrance. So, when there is no entrance test, qualifying test, education is free, freely accessible. It's not a free means without any fee. You have to pay some fee, but ODL system has opened new areas of exploring career. Many people I have come across, they have opportunity to upskill themselves by correspondence courses, by open and distance learning. ODL. As you know, that in ODL, they are not called students, they are called learners. So students in a regular college or a school, it is called. So Indira Gandhi National University, the establishment of Indira Gandhi National University was in 1985. Ushered in an era of quality higher education and training at a distance while pursuing the policy of accessing the equity. ICT was aggressively used on a large scale for the first time in the higher education in the country. Though many of the correspondence courses institutes had a diversified course offer. IGNU offered largely unconventional programs, certificate and diploma level, besides programs for human resource development, continuing professional development in various developmental extension and community development programs. However, its reformative bachelor's degree program still stand out at the forefront of its policy of higher education for all. Surprisingly, there are many people who do not know the opportunity ahead, like its IGNU courses. There is the Baba Sahib Ambedkar University, Karnataka State Open University, Netaji Subhash Open University, UP Rajashree Tandon Open University. So many universities that have been accorded concurrence from UGC. It is very interesting to go through this chapter. I think now we are at the end of this session. We will have a discussion. Nivedita, if you have any question, you can discuss. Elena is also with us. We can have a brief discussion on various issues. So we
No,
have
that's
12, 13 and 14, 15, 4 units left, and we have only one day tomorrow. We'll talk about, just will go through at quality assurance and accreditation in higher education, 12 unity. Accreditation, what is the importance of accreditation, Nivedita? Why there is a NAC? What is the role of a NAC? प्रति 5 वर्षରେ ଥରେ accreditation ହୁଏ ପ୍ରତ୍ୟେକ ଅନୁଷ୍ଠାନ. UGC କହିଲେ we will not extend any financial support to the institution which has not been assessed. So for that Bangalore रे गोटा NAC କରାଗଲା, National Assessment and Accreditation Council. Our role ହେଲା to assess the performance of the institution. There are 7 criteria on the basis of which we can progress. So NAC is one of the very important segment of higher education. NAAC ର କାମ କଣ ନିବେଦିତା?
Sir, when an institution achieved a certain standard, then NAC is an council which can uh, accredit and access that institution and grant finances for further development.
Yes. So we need accreditation because we need some fund. Who is providing fund? UGC has certain schemes. Who knows, for example, state universities are not directly governed by